Lone Ranger. Fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty Hi-Yo Silver, the Lone Ranger.
You find any sign of bank robber, Kimasabi?
No, Tonto, I'm afraid he's given us the slip.
Not first time him do that. Him plenty clever man. We lucky to trail him this far.
What puzzles me is he hasn't robbed a bank in weeks now. His trail seems to end here.
You think him go into hiding until trouble blow over?
It's possible. He knows the sheriff is close on his heels.
But too bad we not know what him look like. Him maybe nearby. We have no way of knowing.
I've been thinking the same thing. If he is nearby, he'll give himself away sooner or later.
But how, Kimasabi? Him smart enough to know that now bank robbery points straight to him.
All crooks are greedy. When the old ways of stealing become too dangerous, they find new ones.
That make good sense. Like men who wear disguise to hide face.
Exactly, Tonto. Question is, what kind of a disguise? If he isn't robbing banks, how's he been getting his money these days?
If we stay around here 2-3 days more, keep eyes, ears open, maybe we find out.
It's worth a try. How we fix for supplies?
Plenty low. Me ride into town tomorrow. Stock up fresh.
Good. I'll scout around the countryside and see what I can learn.
Miss Whitcomb?
Yes?
I'm Rick Sanders. I'm a friend of your youngest son.
A friend of Tom's? Oh, come in. Come in, please come in. You know, I was just writing to Tom. When did you see him, and how is he? Sit down, won't you? Forgive me if I seem to blubber a bit, but this is such an occasion. It's been so long since I've heard from Tom.
You look exactly the way he described you, ma'am. Only maybe a little prettier.
You're a very nice boy.
And this room looks just like I'd pictured it. With this chair. This must be the one he told me about. The one he made out of an old apple tree.
He told you about that?
You know, when you're in the Army, you get awful lonesome and talk endlessly about home. Of course, I have no home. So I'd listen to Tom tell about his. What it looked like and how I was going to feel to get back to it. Tom's awful anxious to get back, ma'am.
And I'm awfully anxious to get him back. Have you any idea when he'll be coming?
Well, that's why I'm here. Tom thought you might be able to help him get home.
Me help? How?
You said you hadn't heard from Tom in a long time?
Not in over 2 months. Is there anything wrong? Has anything happened to Tom?
Oh, he's all right, ma'am. But he's in prison.
No.
It's a military prison. You see, I was supposed to do guard duty, and I was sick. So Tom took my place. Well, the next night it was his turn, and he hadn't had much rest, so he fell asleep at his post.
They shoot men in war times for that, don't they?
Sometimes.
But they can't shoot Tom. They can't. Something has got to be done. Surely there's something we can do.
Well, that's why I came here. You see, money spent in the right places can do a lot.
You mean bribery?
Sometimes that's the only way.
How much money?
Take quite a bit, ma'am. At least $2,500.
Well, that is quite a bit.
I have $500 of my own I'd be glad to give, if you think you could raise the other $2,000.
You are a nice boy.
Well, Tom's my friend.
I don't know where I'll get $2,000.
Tom says you own the house. You could borrow on that.
Well, I suppose I could. I never thought of that. I've never borrowed money before.
You couldn't borrow it in a better cause, ma'am.
I certainly couldn't. And yesterday I gave your friend, Mr. Saunders, the $2,000. He is adding $500 of his own, so you'll be coming home before long. You have no idea how I'm looking forward to the day. Lovingly, Mother. Sam!
Yeah?
Oh, I almost missed you.
Miss Whitcomb, I can't take your letter. The bag's all closed up, and there's the stage coming in now.
But, Sam, it's got to go out on this mail.
Mrs. Whitcomb, I just can't wait. There's the coach now.
It's to Tom, Sam. Please.
All right.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Ma! Hey, Ma!
Tom!
Hello, Mother.
Oh, so good to have you here. Let me look at you.
You don't know how good it is to be here.
Darling, how did you get out?
Why, I was mustered out. How do you think? That's the only way you get out of the army.
But I mean out of prison.
Prison? I wasn't in prison. Whatever gave you that idea? Why, Mrs. Whitcomb, shame on you, trying to make a jailbird out of your son.
Well, your friend Ricky Saunders told me that you were in prison. I gave him money to get you out.
You gave him money? But I don't even know anyone named Ricky Saunders.
I don't know what to say. He seemed to know all about you, and when he told me he needed...
Well, Tom, sure good to see you. Back home to stay now?
Yeah, I'm back to stay. Looks like it's about time I got back, too. Well, come on, Mother. We better stop by the sheriff's office on our way home and tell him about this. Any trace of the man we're after, Tonto?
Me not sure, Kim-san.
And you did learn something. Has he pulled a robbery?
No, not that. But me do hear a very bad story in town.
Oh? What was it?
Young fellow get off stagecoach. Him just out of army. Him meet mother. She say army friend come to her. Tell her son in army prison. She give him money to get boy out. But boy say him not even know friend.
That's one of the lowest schemes I've ever run into.
It's plenty clever one.
Yes, just clever enough for our bank robber to be involved in it.
Me think same thing.
How much did she give him?
She not say.
Do you know her name?
Mrs. Whitcomb.
Whitcomb. Come on. Look, Mother, I wish you'd stop worrying about Saunders. The sheriff will catch him.
How can he catch him? He said himself that he didn't have a clue to follow. I'm afraid we've lost our money. A fine homecoming for you.
Listen, Mother, it's fine for me. Just being here. No sense in going for your gun if that's what you have in mind. Well, look, my mother's had enough shocks for one day, so take what you want and get out. What I want is what you want, too, I think. What do you mean? Catch the fellow who cheated your mother out of her money. Why? So we can send him to jail and stop this sort of thing. You sound as if you were on the side of the law. You sound as though that were impossible. What about the mask? It's possible to wear a mask and be on the side of the law. Unusual, maybe, but possible. Yes, but how did you know we'd been cheated? A friend of mine overheard you talking to your mother in town. If you work with me, perhaps we can catch this crook and get your money back.
Do you think you could? The sheriff wasn't very encouraging. He said it was a most baffling case.
Tell me, Mrs. Whitcomb, what was this fellow's name?
Saunders. Rick Saunders, he told me.
Did Saunders seem to know Tom?
Oh, yes, very well. I don't see how he could have told me the things he did unless he knew him. Why, he even told me about Tom making that chair out of an old apple tree. He completely took me in.
How much money did you give him?
$2,000. I borrowed it on our house.
And you hadn't talked to anyone recently about the chair?
No.
He could have found out from someone else. Or someone else could have been working with him. How do you mean? Tell me, Mrs. Whitcomb, have you talked to anyone recently about Tom?
Why, yes. There was a Mr. Applegate came here about 10 days ago. But he seemed such a fine, soft-spoken old man.
What did he want?
Well, he said he was traveling through the state making a record of the Texas fighting men. I didn't talk very much about Tom, and I certainly didn't tell him about the chair.
Did he ask any questions about your son?
Only his name and regiment, that's all. He spent most of his time talking about Hank Denton.
Who's he?
Hank Denton is old Charlie Denton's boy. They live over in Carsonville. He's been away at war, too.
And he hasn't returned yet?
Well, he hadn't up to a couple of days ago.
I see. Could you tell me what this Applegate fellow looked like?
He was a tall, fine-looking, white-haired old gentleman with a white handlebar mustache. Certainly had good manners.
Thank you, Mrs. Whitcomb. You've been a great help. I hope I'll have some news for you soon.
What's your next move?
Pay a little call on Charlie Denton. That is, if Applegate hasn't already been there ahead of me.
Well, do you think Applegate and Saunders are working together?
I wouldn't be a bit surprised. Sounds like a perfect setup. Applegate gets the information. Saunders uses it to wring money out of worried parents.
Well, I hope you're on the right track. Oh, I'm sorry I gave you such a rough welcome.
Forget it. I'm used to that. Goodbye.
My, what a nice fellow. And hasn't he such nice manners?
That's just what you said about Mr. Applegate and Saunders.
Well, I like good manners, even in crooks.
Hello, my young friend.
Hello, Applegate.
I would say, from the smile that wreathes yonder cherubic countenance, that the bluebird of success, bursting with song, has perched itself upon your shoulder.
If you mean I got the money. Yeah.
How much?
Just what we planned. Did you see Denton?
He's still visiting his sister. He'll be back today.
Oh, what a wonderful, easy way to make money.
Better than robbing banks, huh?
Sure. Much better just to go to a fellow's mother and ask for money.
Yes, my boy. Mother love is a sacred and beautiful thing. Next time, why don't you ask for $5,000?
I think I shall.
Well, Denton should be getting back by now. I better get over there.
Say, you think you ought to wear that rig over to Denton's?
Why not?
I just thought someone might have found out by now that we're fakes. Might have gone to the sheriff and turned in a description of you.
Yes, that's right. You know, my hunch about teaming up with you was a good one. You're smart.
Can't rob banks and stay out of jail if you're dumb.
No. Now, let me see. Oh, yes. I have a fine makeup. Wore it when I was on tour with the Chautauqua in Canada. Dark hair, dark mustache. Nothing like them to take 20 years off a man's life.
What happens if Denton's still not back when you get there?
Well, he's due back any time. I'll simply sit on his front porch and wait.
No need to be frightened, Mr. Denton. You are Charlie Denton, aren't you?
Now I won't tell you who I am or anything else until you take off that mask.
Sorry, I can't do that.
We're here to help you. Come to warn you of big trouble.
Mr. Denton, there's a man on his way here to rob you.
What man?
No one been here yet to ask you questions about your son?
No.
Two men who call themselves Applegate and Saunders have been swindling the families of soldiers around here.
We think you next on their list.
How did you find this out?
I had a talk with a Mrs. Whitcomb over in Rock Hill.
Them take $2,000 from her, pretend to get her son out of prison.
Why, I can't believe that anyone could do such a thing. Seems so heartless.
Yes, it is pretty heartless.
Any idea what these men look like?
The man who comes here first, the one who gets the information, is an elderly gentleman, white-haired with a white mustache.
Elderly man. White hair, white mustache. The name?
Applegate.
Well, I'll watch out for Mr. Applegate. And when he shows up, I'll wring his neck.
Better you let law take care of that.
But he deserves it. Mother love is a sacred and beautiful thing. To hear of anyone abusing it like that makes you want to strangle him.
I'm going to try to pick up his trail before he gets here.
Well, thanks for the warning. I'll be on the lookout. Oh, stranger. In case Applegate shows up, I'd like to let you know. I was wondering where you're going to be.
They're a good camp spot in group of trees 1 mile back, Kimasabi.
Yes, and close, too. You know the place?
Yes, I'll get in touch with you there if I see any signs of him.
Good.
Up, boy, up. We're in trouble.
What do you mean?
We're being pursued, my young friend. A masked man and an Indian are searching for two scoundrels by the name of Applegate and Saunders.
How'd they find out?
I don't know. They seem to know all about our deal with old Mrs. Whitcomb.
Oh, her kid must have come back sooner than we expected.
Yes, it's unfortunate. Afraid we'll have to forego the opportunity to swindle the worthy Mr. Denton.
Did you get to see him?
No, he's still away. The masked man mistook me for Denton, warned me against myself. How do you like that?
I think I like it a lot.
Huh?
It may give us a chance to trap this masked hombre before he can stick his nose any further into our business. Any idea where he is now?
Yes, indeed. Looking for us.
No, I mean, do you know where we can find him?
Are you mad, my young friend? Of course, I took the precaution of asking where they'd be camping, but only so that you and I could ride rapidly in the opposite direction.
You give up too easily, Applegate.
I value my neck rather highly.
And I value our setup more than your neck. Now, if this masked man's so anxious to catch up with us, we're going to give him a chance to.
I don't think I like the sound of that.
Well, there's no risk. We're in a perfect position to lead him into a trap.
And after we do, what?
Once a man's dead, he can't cause us any more trouble.
Oh, I've never gone in for violence of any sort. Swindling people is one thing, but this...
Why, it's self-defense, that's all. This masked man and this Indian are out to get us. What are we supposed to do? Sit and wait like ducks in a shooting gallery till he succeed?
No, that doesn't make much sense.
Of course not.
What do you suggest?
Well, it's simple. You keep on posing as Denton. Go to the masked man's campsite. Tell him Applegate just left your place. Say he's on his way to see John Weaver.
John Weaver? Who's he?
Me, of course. You direct him to come here, to our hideout. Now, when he shows up, I'll pose as Weaver till I get the drop on him. After that, we've got him right where we want him.
My boy, I think it might work.
It's got to work. No masked man's gonna outsmart me.
Well, then.
Well, hello, Mr. Denton. My friend and I have to be ready for almost anything. We thought it was an outlaw.
Well, afraid I'm hardly the type. My friend, big things are happening.
Applegate show up?
Just like you said, white hair, white mustache, lovely old gent.
Have any trouble keeping him at your house?
I didn't try.
You didn't?
No, I was afraid he might become suspicious. I haven't had much experience capturing criminals. I thought you might do a better job.
Do you know where him go?
Wasn't hard to find out. Applegate kept asking questions about John Weaver, his younger brother, the one that's still in the Army. So I knew he must be heading for Weaver's place next. If you ride fast, you can be there, waiting for him.
Thanks for coming here, Mr. Denton. We'll arrange a reception for Applegate that he won't be expecting.
What about Saunders' fellow, Kimasabi? Him likely to show up at Mr. Denton's house soon now.
Once we have Applegate, Tonto, we can go to Mr. Denton's place and wait for Saunders. With luck, we'll catch him, too.
Come fast, my friends. I'd hate to face that young rascal without your moral support.
Don't worry, Mr. Denton. We'll be there. Now, where is John Weaver's place?
Well, I'll have to take you part way. It's a little hard to explain.
All right, let's go.
You turn off here and go down the road a ways. You run right into the cabin.
Thanks, Mr. Denton.
Weaver's an old friend of mine. Just mention my name and you'll be well taken care of.
Good. I'll do that.
Be careful of Applegate. From what I saw of him, he's a hard man to handle.
Don't worry.
What is this, a hold-up?
Don't let this mask frighten you, Mr. Weaver. We were sent here by a friend of yours, Mr. Denton.
Oh, Charlie Denton sent you.
He said to mention his name, and we'd be well taken care of.
I should say you will be. Come in.
Just a moment. You better stay out here and watch for Applegate, and keep out of sight.
You expecting someone else?
Yes, a man named Applegate. I'd better tell you about him because I'll need your help.
Well, sit down, won't you? I'm sure glad you warned me about him, mister. There's nothing I'd like better than...
He must be coming.
It's a good thing you got here ahead of him.
You understand what you're to do now. He suspects nothing. It should be easy.
It'll be a pleasure to handle a crook like him.
How do you do? My name is Applegate. Are you the Weaver whose brother is away in the Army?
That's right. Why?
I wonder if I could come in and talk to you for a moment?
Certainly.
I'm touring about making a record of the Texas fighting men. I wanted to ask you a few questions about...
Put him up, Applegate. Put him up! I think we ought to tie him up, don't you?
You're right.
What's the meaning of this?
Keep still, Applegate. There's a rope over in that chest of drawers.
Now you put him up, masked man.
Get away from that window, in case your Indian friend takes any notions to look in. Go on, get over there.
Yes, we want him to come in, not look in. So supposing you call him. Call him, masked man.
Now, wait a minute. I'll call him, in case he gets any funny ideas.
Good idea.
What's his name?
You couldn't pronounce it.
If you can say it, I can pronounce it. What is it?
Sakwadase.
Sakwadase. You weren't fooling us, so that is quite a name.
I needn't remind you to remain absolutely quiet.
Hey, you, Sakwadase. Your friends say come in.
Me come right away.
You'll be right in. Keep your eye on the masked man, Applegate. I'll dispose of the Indian first.
And lucky thing him tell me he come in back way.
And luckier still, he didn't know your name was really Tonto.
Mr. Applegate's mustache come off.
Yes, Tonto. And Mr. Applegate becomes Mr. Denton without his dark mustache.
Him plenty clever man.
But not clever enough, Tonto. We'll get some rope and tie these two up. The sheriff should be very glad to get them. You'll find some rope over in that chest of drawers.
I can hardly believe it. Look, Tom, we've got it all back, thanks to you two gentlemen.
Son, there's an Applegate cause you no more trouble. Them locked up tight.
And after you give evidence of their trial, I think they'll stay locked up for a long time to come.
To tell you the truth, Mother, I never thought we'd see this money again.
Wait a minute, Tom. If it hadn't been for the masked man and the Indian, we wouldn't have. The least we can do is give them a reward.
No thanks, ma'am. Our reward is seeing justice done. Come on, Tonto. Adios.
Wait! Can't you stay? There's so many things I want to ask you. Oh, they're getting on their horses. They're going away.
Of course you are, Mother. I could have told you that masked man wouldn't want a reward. I've heard about his good deeds. Why, even in the Army, the men were talking about him. He's the Lone Ranger.
Hi-yo, Silver!